Hello, everybody, and welcome to our new podcast. This is our first attempt at even recording one, so it's going to be a little rough in places. Our topic today is going to be top 10 video game intros. Some had an easier time coming up with intros than others, but I guess before we get really started, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Steven.
I'm Isaac.
I'm Kendall. This was my idea. This is sort of one in a series of different openings, and I decided I'm gonna do a video game one.
Right. In the future, we've got plans for TV themes, cartoon intros, anime themes. We're gonna discuss just a lot of different things. So be prepared for some good stuff coming in the future. And for right now, I guess we'll open up with our lists. We're gonna be going basically around the circle, coming up with our top 10 lists, but first of all, we're going to just probably blow through our honorable mentions because there's no particular order to these.
Yeah. We go through our, say the number, then we say what our picks are, and then at the end we're going to watch the ones that we think are real contenders, and then we'll make one big list for the three of us.
Right, so my number one might end up being like number 4, for instance, on the final list, if everybody feels that way. My number one might also not end up on the list if the other two feel that strongly against it.
Yeah.
And for some reason, who knows, my number 16 in my honorable mentions might end up being like number 3 on the list. We don't know.
Yeah. I'm saying it now, Steven. Your number one is... Can we curse on this podcast?
I mean, we can always bleep it if nothing else.
Your number one is either curse... fuck. Your number one is... Your number one is shit and or crap.
And with that, let's get into my honorable mentions. I do have these numbered. You guys don't have to. It doesn't matter. But since they're numbered on here, I might as well go from... Just say, like, my number 16 pick on this list is the Pokemon Silver intro. We looked through that recently, and honestly, like, it had the most nostalgic punch to it for me.
Yeah.
Even more than, like Pokemon Ruby, which I think is my preferred Pokemon game. Number 15 for me was Super Smash Bros. 64. I really loved that intro as a kid, and it just has always stuck in my mind, those like blocky textures and like toy kind of movements and everything. Up after that is Diddy Kong Racing. It's got a really quirky theme song, and it's just really bright and colorful. Sonic Adventure 1, I think, has a really good intro.
Yeah.
It's a little butt rocky.
Yeah.
And a little weirdly metal too at the same time. Like, I rewatched it and I was like, wow, this is... Yes. Absolutely insane. I understand where Sonic 06 came from.
Yeah. Butt rock, I feel, kind of verges on metal, you know? Like,
I know, but it does verge on metal, but usually I think of it a little more poppy than what Sonic Adventure 1's opening had.
Yeah.
It's still butt rock, but it's...
No, it's interesting because, like, people call Metal Gear Rising's boss music butt rock, but that's definitely leaning way more into metal, you know?
Yeah.
But it's still got that element that you go, that's some good butt rock.
The next one is actually one of the first video game intros I came up for with my list, and eventually I just had to knock it down, is the first Resident Evil intro. It's so bad. So bad.
Are we talking about the Japanese one?
I'm talking about that, like, I might be American, that live action black and white horror that is just so wonderful.
Yeah.
It did pain me a little bit to knock this off my list because it's so funny in how horrible it is.
I will say, I don't know if it's Japanese only, but there is also the part where it's like going through the cast.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and like the song is playing, it says Chris Redfield, and the song just goes, I got a shotgun.
I don't know. I honestly didn't like take a look at this one. In my head I was like, I cannot put that on my top 10 with some of the things I actually have on my top 10.
Yeah. And then
although looking at my list, who knows? Like,
yeah. And then I think the character Rebecca who just tugs her pigtails.
And my last honorable mention is the first Silent Hill intro. The biggest... I love the music. I love the visuals. I could not put it on my list because it is way too spoiler heavy.
I don't know if it's spoiler heavy. It kind of sets the tone. I'll just say that I do have a few honorable mentions as well. Silent Hill was the last one cut from my list.
Mm. It's the last one, like, before my top 10 as well.
Yeah, I guess it could be kind of spoilery because it shows Alessa.
It shows Alessa. Technically none of it's like super spoilery because you have no idea what these visuals are.
Yeah,
but almost every clip in that intro until like that last bit is just game footage.
Yeah,
it's just bits cut from pulled from cutscenes.
Though there are also some bits that are they're only in that opening.
There are.
Like, Harry and Cheryl driving to Silent Hill.
And then you see the cop, I can't remember her name. Sybil. You see her driving by. So it does lead into the game.
Yeah.
But there's just too much spoilery stuff to make me feel like it's a good intro.
That's true. The very first visual is, in fact...
a crazy part in the game.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you see that character... in the game, you would instantly know, like, something's going to happen to that character and it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
And I don't...
In fact,
I don't like that. Yeah, exactly. You don't know how, but you know what.
Yeah.
So that's my honorable mentions. Isaac, do you have any?
I don't. Let's move on to Kendall.
All right.
Mine are pretty... I didn't actually write down any honorable mentions. I know there are some others that I most likely forgot, but mostly just on my mind are classic fighting games. The Street Fighter 2 opening where it pans down from the tower, and then it's just the two guys up close fighting, and the big punch, and then it pans back and then it pans up, and Street Fighter 2. And then also Capcom versus SNK. Which I wasn't really around for the fighting game community back then, in the 90s, late 80s. But apparently back then, Capcom and SNK were the two big companies that were vying for dominance in the arcades. Which one is better? Is it Capcom or SNK? And all of a sudden, they team up and release this game with all their most popular characters fighting each other. And the intro is just text. It says, everybody rumored. No one believed.
It's pretty powerful.
It's pretty powerful. And Capcom vs. SNK 2 also had that iconic song, "This is True Love We're Making," where they just say that as that's kind of a weird thing to say. But also, it kind of sounds like, "This is tuna and bacon. This is tuna and bacon."
Everybody loves a good misheard lyric.
Yeah. Those are my honorable mentions. Just the ones that I could think of off the top of my head.
Okay.
Oh, actually, wait, one more. DBZ Budokai 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have any DBZ on my list just because they were pretty DBZ-ish, but. I've heard that there's probably going to be some on this list. So I guess we'll just start into the top 10s now?
Yep.
Okay.
Let's go for it.
So my top 10 is one that I feel so happy about.
Oh.
That I feel like you guys wouldn't have thought about it. Luigi's Mansion. There's just this beautiful dark shot of Luigi walking up the steps with his flashlight. You see crows hanging overhead, lightning flashes. It's such this this isn't your typical Mario game.
Yeah, you're right. That one is. I didn't think of that one, honestly.
It's so beautiful. I love that intro. You just look at it, you're like, well, this isn't what I thought when I bought this game.
Yeah, that game honestly scared the crap out of me as a kid.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I was that young.
That's fair. What did it come out, 2002, 2003?
Yeah, I would have been 7 or 8.
Right, I could see that. It's obviously not scary, but it has its moments.
The baby terrified me.
Well, that's just because ghost babies are a horrifying thing.
Yeah.
It horrifies me to this day.
Yeah. But like, the baby turning giant and throwing its balls at you. That horrified me because that was very reminiscent of one of my most vivid nightmares.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, before we stroll too far into Kendall's psyche here, Isaac, what's your number 10?
My number 10, speaking of Dragon Ball Z, is Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2.
Hi!
All right, so that's already got kind of a push toward the top 10 because it was in your honorable mentions.
Yeah.
I honestly don't remember which Dragon Ball Z intro that one is. Can you, do you know anything about it, off the top of your head? That makes it,
Has
that
a pretty cool guitar riff.
one?
And then they say dragon a lot, I think.
So it's a Dragon Ball Z intro.
I think you're thinking of Budokai 1 then.
Oh, I don't know, but we're going to find out when we watch them.
So,
Budokai 2.
so Budokai 1 was just a remake of the Rock the Dragon intro.
Yeah.
In weird, gross 3D animation.
Yeah, specifically it was remake of Chala, Head Chala, but of course for the American version they just stuck Rock the Dragon over it.
Yeah, it had that. Yeah.
And Budokai 2, I know because I looked it up, is the one where it starts off with there's the bars on the top and bottom, and Goku is kind of over the bars, and it's just him in base form as he's fighting Vegeta. And then he goes Super Saiyan, and the one that's over the bars becomes Super Saiyan. Then he's fighting Frieza and Cell, and then he becomes Super Saiyan 3.
Is Vegeta's hair brown in this intro?
Yes.
All right, I remember this intro.
But that was also
negative 10 points.
That was also the case for Budokai 3, though. So,
yeah, I know. It was a weird trend. Why did they make Vegeta's hair brown for a while?
I think it might have just been the animation studio. I don't know.
Super weird.
Yeah.
Kendall, what's your number 10?
It's Pokemon Red and Blue.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I just feel like I love all the ones after that. They're more visually interesting, but there's nothing more iconic than just the Nidorino and the Gengar fighting.
This is true. It's so iconic that it even made it into the anime, actually.
Yeah, and with the size restrictions and everything, it's impressive that they managed to do an intro at all,
I briefly did consider putting that on my list, but I personally found Silver to be my preferred.
Yeah, that's that's totally fine.
Yeah,
but...
no, I'm. It's cool that you actually came up with a similar idea that I did.
Yeah.
Do you have any more to say about that one?
Not really. It's short and simple and iconic.
All right, so my number 9 is the Skies of Arcadia intro. It is basically your generic JRPG intro. You get your cast of characters, you get a beautiful song, you see your villains, you see all this stuff, but it just blends together so nicely. It's so colorful. The music is great. I don't really have a lot to say about it. I have a feeling we might talk about it a little bit more later, seeing as it's Kendall's favorite game, so I feel like no matter what, we'll talk about it again.
Yeah, it's a really good tone setter,
Yeah, it really sets the mood.
Yeah, and a lot of JRPGs, they just have cutscenes from the game, but
yeah, no, I don't think there's a single.
No, the Skies is so jam packed with custom animations and everything, and there's so much attention to detail, and that even extends into just having this intro,
Sega Dreamcast, everybody.
Yeah, I don't think that map model is really ever used in the game itself.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's also respect for that,
Right. Isaac, number 9.
So, my number 9 is going to be a little weird because I don't remember if it's exactly the opening, but I really like Grabbed by the Ghoulies. There's a scene in it, a comic book strip.
Mm-hmm.
It's real cool. I just can't remember if it's the opening or not.
I'm trying to remember exactly because it's been a while since I played that too. But Grabbed by the Ghoulies does have a fun. It honestly, it's a little similar to Luigi's Mansion. Yeah. It's got that atmospheric. It does go for a little bit more a comic panel style versus just a straight cutscene. But it's like a motion comic.
Yeah.
Rareware just puts out some really good stuff, although they were rare at that point, not Rareware. Yeah, no, that's a good one. I think I considered that briefly, but I'm glad it found a place on these lists somewhere.
Yeah.
Kendall, number 9.
So this one is I knew that I had to put it on my list somewhere because it has become one of the most iconic video game openings. Like the whole series does it, but I personally prefer the first one, and every single game in the series opens up with 4 words:
War.
War never changes.
War never changes.
So my number 9 is Fallout.
Okay.
And that does break my rules a little bit because I was going more for, all right, just tone setting, maybe a song. I don't want to do story stuff. The second half of the Fallout opening does have like story setup, like, all right, here's what you're doing, here's your character and everything. But ultimately, it's just the tone setting of the ink spots, and then on the TV, and then slowly pan out to a nuclear wasteland, and then just war never changes, and Ron Perlman talking about the nature of war and whatnot.
Nice. That sounds pretty dope.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's also kind of low because I'm personally not fond of the Fallout games.
Yeah, that is one thing about this is some of these intros probably have a little bit of bias just based on like how good we think the game is.
Yeah.
Which is why this next one I consciously put it a little lower than I feel like I would have. My number 8 spot is the Nintendo 3DS title Fire Emblem Awakening. This has such a beautiful anime aesthetic. The Fire Emblem games already are super cool. It was the first Fire Emblem game I played, and this one is really hard to explain without having seen it. So it's one of those, like, I'll definitely have to show you this when we do our final deliberation, but I just want you guys to know, like, this game set the tone and made me want to play this game so much, and it became my favorite game, if not, at least in my top 3.
Yeah.
I absolutely love Fire Emblem Awakening, but without just showing you guys what the intro is, I feel like I can't properly explain it. So
Yeah, that's fair.
Isaac, you're number 8.
Well, number 8's another weird one. The intro to Shining Soul 2, you just pick your character, but it has the whole cast of characters right there for you to, like, choose from.
Yeah,
Okay.
You just kind of go into it and...
Yeah.
I know nothing about Shining Soul, so...
It's a really good game.
Okay.
It's a really good game.
It is.
It's a really expensive game now.
Oh my god, okay.
It's like $120 for the little Game Boy cartridge.
Oh, okay. Kendall, number 8.
'Twas Shakespeare, I believe, who said, brevity is the soul of wit. So what is more brief than Dante just fucking shooting the screen?
You know what? That's fair. Which... I have to ask which intro...
Devil May Cry 1. So
That's the first one?
Yeah, it says, like, hey, this game has lots of gore and violence. Bang, 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 bang!
You know what? Yeah, I mean, like, obviously it doesn't have to be long.
Yeah.
Luigi's Mansion intro is not very long. But I think it's like maybe 45 seconds.
Yeah, and it's just Dante and Trish shooting the screen, and then or just like kung fu kicking the screen, and it says one by one the words "Devil May Cry," and then it ends with Dante doing a gun spin. And he just goes, "Let's rock, baby," and then he shoots the screen.
Well,
and
there
it
you
says
go.
"Devil May Cry," and you know what? It gets you pumped.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so over the top that it makes you laugh, and that's perfect for Devil May Cry.
Perfect. My number 7 slot, I had to, because he ended up on my honorable mentions, I felt that the Blue Hedgehog had to end up on my list somewhere.
Yeah.
Sonic CD.
I don't know what that is.
Oh. The animation is done by Toei, the people who do Dragon Ball and everything.
Yeah, I know.
The song is so catchy.
I'm mad.
It's
I forgot about Sonic CD. How did I forget about Sonic
Like,
CD?
the
I need to change my list.
the song is so catchy that what's the band that does Sonic songs for the most part?
Crush 40.
Crush 40.
Yeah.
They went back and covered that song for a future game because it was so good. They're like, we wish we did this. It's such good animation. It's such a fun song. I really don't know what else to say about it. It's
That's
so
awesome.
good.
Yeah, I feel for Crush 40, but at the same time, they wrote I Am All of Me and also Ungravitify, so I think they're good.
Yeah.
They actually got back together recently.
I think I heard something about that. Isaac, number 7.
Well, that's going to be really uninteresting, but Pokemon Red and Blue,
Oh, yeah?
Oh, wow.
for the same reasons that Kendall said, so I don't really have any speaking points as to why.
No, but
Well-
like that's good. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Stupid Isaac doing a repeat one. So my number 7 is Skies of Arcadia.
Kendall, can you explain further on like why it's so good?
No.
Or do you think we said it?
Yeah, I think we pretty much said it. It's strong. It's well, I will say it's also got some strong cinematography, which is par for the course with the rest of the game, really.
Right.
And kind of shows off all the big places you're gonna see, and it gets the imagination going because you see all these different colored moons. You know. So it's a good tone setter. It is kind of funnily probably one of the weakest songs in the game.
It probably is, but it still really works.
Yeah.
Like a weak song in Skies of Arcadia is still like a fantastic song in another game.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my number 7.
My number 6 is basically the better version of the Sonic Adventure 1 intro, in my opinion. Final Fantasy X.
Ah.
Like, I watched these back to back, and I was like, this is weirdly tonally similar. It's this lit up city, and all of a sudden this like water is crashing toward everything, and honestly just this is a little bit just because of graphics to some extent. PS2 had better graphics than the Dreamcast. Intro is beautiful. It was hard to pick, like song wise I feel like they're both about the same. I actually think Final Fantasy X is probably a little more metal.
Yeah.
But it's all the cutscenes, like true cutscenes, not just like in-game models when they're talking, are absolutely stunning to this day in Final Fantasy X.
Yeah.
Not because they're super realistic, like they're obviously better graphics now, but just the way the visuals look, I love this intro. Yeah.
I'll ask you this though. You picked this over Sonic Adventure. Does Final Fantasy X have the guy go, "Oh my god"?
Yeah, probably. It does have Orange making a toast to the villain.
Yeah, that was always a really cool shot.
It's a nice little detail that you don't understand until way later in the game.
Yeah. So I don't understand it. I just I kind of got the impression that he knew Jack and all that, but
Yeah. It's good. It's a good game. It's a good intro. Isaac, number 6.
The Super Mario Bros. Theme.
I mean, yeah, I guess that kind of works.
well, Super Mario Bros. 3 has an intro.
It does.
That's true.
Yeah, that's an NES one that has an actual intro.
Yeah.
We'll go with that one.
But
To be fair to Isaac, he threw a lot of this together, and he also sort of said that
I just got off of work.
yeah, and also that like these are kind of out of order for him.
they're out of order for him, and
I ordered them, but if you can tell,
he doesn't. He's not as like. He doesn't pay as much attention to the intro of games as some people do.
Yeah.
I initially had a hard time coming up with a list for this. It's just through the years of playing video games, I managed to muddle together 16 names.
I will be very passionate about my top 3.
I'm excited for it.
Actually, probably my top 5. So
Fair enough.
Yeah,
we're
fair
almost
enough.
to our top 5. So Kendall, number 6.
So mine, like yours, Steven, is JRPG. The difference is that mine, I hate. I hate this game,
Right.
but the intro is so good that I still sometimes go back to it and like, this is so good, I hate this game. It's Persona 4.
Persona 4, okay.
It's such a good opening, you know? It's so stylized, and there was an anime in Persona 4 and they didn't use it, and I'm like, why? But, yeah, I knew that if this didn't get at least pretty high on my list, then I would be lying to myself, you know? As much as I didn't want to put it on because I don't like this game.
Yeah, it's the fighting of the bias.
Yeah.
Which, that was why I knocked Fire Emblem down.
Yeah, if I liked the game more, it'd obviously be higher. But
right. So now we're breaking into our top 5s.
Yes.
So this is where it's probably going to be the most like passionate arguments. Although it sounds like there's already a strong case for Pokemon Red and Blue and Skies of Arcadia to some extent. So those are contenders still.
Yeah.
My number 5. Imagine your favorite Saturday morning cartoon, but a video game. It's bright, it's colorful, there are these plucky characters, these great environments. It's Banjo-Kazooie.
I knew this was coming at some point.
It's... You just look at this and you're ready to have a good time.
Yeah.
Like, even if you don't beat the game, which technically I don't think I ever did, I got a decent amount into it and played the beginning probably countless times. Every time.
Is this the N64 version?
Yes.
That's a good game.
Yeah. No, I think I never played Banjo-Tooie, and I don't even know what that intro is. Actually, I think I do. It's weird. It, like, opens up with, like, Gruntilda being, like, unburied by her servant, whose name I can't remember right now. Yeah. Super weird. But, yeah, Banjo-Kazooie, super fun, super exciting. It's a good intro.
Yeah. My biggest gripe with that intro is the sound effects over it.
I think they're charming.
That's fair. I don't care for them personally.
That is fine. Isaac, number 5.
Kingdom Hearts 2.
Kingdom Hearts 2. I don't even remember the intro to that one, to be honest.
In you and I, there's a new land.
It's a really good opening, huh?
Yeah.
We'll talk more about it once we watch it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's fair.
Is that another one that's kind of hard to explain, like, without seeing?
Yes.
Gotcha. Kendall?
My number 5, Kingdom Hearts 2.
All right, well, I'm kind of edged out on this one, it seems like.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, it builds on the intro of the first one, but it also, like, it kind of covers the important stuff at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1 and what happened in Chain of Memories.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, it does.
But also just rendered in absolutely beautifully. And that also, like, really works thematically. Draws a lot of good parallels between the Kingdom Hearts 1 opening. You know, and like it starts with them, like, all on the tree. Right. Sora, Riku, and Kairi on the tree. And then Riku and Kairi fade away, Sora looks sad, then he jumps off into the end of Kingdom Hearts 1, and it's really cool. Then we find Riku in, like, his darkness outfit, then he turns around and does the hand reach thing, and Sora runs at him with the Keyblade to attack. It's really good.
It's really good. The game is really good. Go play it.
Yeah. Kingdom Hearts 2 is just the best, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it also, like, draws the parallel with, like, the first one ends with Sora falling through the water, and this one Sora's gliding over water, and then Roxas falls out of him.
Yep.
And it's such a cool visual, and like the first time I was like, whoa, who is this?
Number 4. This one I feel weird about now, and I would probably like knock it down on my list if I could reorder this on the fly. But Donkey Kong 64. Mm-hmm. I love Donkey Kong 64's intro. It's finally here. It's ready for you.
I was like, is there one for the... The DK rap, of course!
First member of the DK crew,
DK! Donkey Kong!
It's fairly minimalist. Like, it's actually kind of weird, because, like, if you beat the game, there's, like a end cutscene where they're, like, in a film studio.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be them, like, getting ready to film the DK rap intro. There's not much to say about it. It's quirky. It's fun.
Yeah.
I would probably knock it a little lower based on, like, what I've said about these other ones now, but I'm glad it's on my list.
Yeah. Have you seen the Brental Floss DK rap, like, what was it, like 20 years later?
I think I might have at some point, yeah. Isaac, number 4.
Kingdom Hearts. The first one.
All right.
Really good opening.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, like, if you include the entirety of the opening. It's so good.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. I personally prefer Kingdom Hearts 2's opening. Partially because when I, like, replayed the games, I was like, yeah, I remember Kingdom Hearts 1's opening. It was fantastic. Did Kingdom Hearts 2 have a good opening? And then, like, the first thing happened, and I was like, oh!
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see the argument for the first game's opening being better. I prefer the second.
Mm-hmm.
That I think that could also just be, again, the bias.
Right.
Because Kingdom Hearts 2 is almost a perfect game, I think.
Oh, yeah. It's a much better game than the first one. But
Yeah. But the thing is that, like, it's not, I wouldn't even say it's better. Like, there are, like, it's definitely better in some ways, but it's also really good in different ways from the first one.
that's true.
So it's never like, why would I go back to the first one?
And I have a third one now that I really want to play. I haven't heard anything about it.
I've heard a lot of bad about 3, unfortunately.
That's unfortunate.
I've heard it's fun to play.
I've heard...
And, like, when you get to the end of the game and it actually gets kind of hard, like, it's really fun to just, like, go off.
Yeah.
Because you get all these powers. But the problem is I've heard that, like, the powers come in too soon. So, like, for a lot of the game, you're breezing through it.
Yeah, and yeah, I've heard that it's really easy, and, you know, the people who are really into Kingdom Hearts 2, like, it's such a high bar to beat because of how incredibly polished Kingdom Hearts 2's whole combat system is and everything.
But what is...
So, like, of course, it's not going to be as good.
But how are the cutscenes? How's the story?
The story I've heard is also kind of weird and disappointing. I've seen one really funny cutscene, though.
Oh, boy.
Should I explain it?
Maybe
Yeah.
another.
So, you know Vanitas?
Yeah.
No.
So, like, Vanitas is this dude who looks like Sora, but he's, like...
Okay, I do know who that is.
Okay, yeah, and, like, he's, like, super edgy and everything, and he's got, like, the full mask and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It was in the Monsters, Inc. world, and, you know, he was, like, gonna fight Sora, and is, like, doing his edgy thing. Sully just picks him up, throws him in a door, closes the door, takes the door out. Mike opens another door. They throw that door in that door. They take it out. They do that like 3 more times, and then they do it in like one of the bigger doors, and then they shred the door.
But you do what you gotta do, I guess.
That's so good.
It's great.
Kendall, your number 4?
My number 4, Super Smash Bros. Melee. It's only at number 4 because I'm number 3 does something similar but much better, I think.
Right.
Because like Melee is iconic. Mm-hmm. That intro, like throw the Mario statue, and then like the build up as like the light goes up the Mario statue, and then it just cuts to black. It's like Nintendo presents. Mm-hmm. Oh!
Yep. Yes, I 100% agree. Yeah, no.
But yeah,
really
my complaint about Melee's opening is that everyone is kind of in their own franchise, you know? Like, there's not a lot of crossover. Aside from, like, the shot of, like,
I think there's a couple little things, yeah.
Yeah, like Sheik looking into the sky and Kirby's there, and then Fox and then there's, like, one split-second shot of the big Star Fox ship next to Samus's ship.
Right.
And that's kind of it. But, you know, it's it's still so good.
Yeah. My number 3, the Kingdom Hearts 1 theme. Like, this intro, even without being a huge Kingdom Hearts fan, I just remember they basically played the song, for one thing. They 100% played the song on television commercials.
Yeah.
And from the start, like, I could remember that song easily. The visuals, there's something about the PS2 aesthetic.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with like Final Fantasy X. While Final Fantasy X probably looks a little nicer.
Yeah.
A little, like, it makes it look shiny in like a good way versus sometimes shiny looks bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we already talked a lot about Kingdom Hearts 1, but I just wanted to point out like just the iconography of that first song and how it was just everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, it was literally this, like, there was like Kingdom Hearts. What is this Disney plus Final Fantasy weird mismatch?
Yeah.
When you walk away, you will hear me say, "I need it."
And another thing I'll say for that song is how it ties into the end of the game. That is killer. You know, like have you seen the end of the game?
I have not.
It's really good. But let's not spoil it.
I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever see the end of the game, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, you can go watch the ending.
Mm-hmm.
It's heart wrenching.
It is.
And that song just elevates that moment so much.
Yeah, even without being a Kingdom Hearts fan, like, I find Kingdom Hearts extremely convoluted. I had a hard time getting into the first game. It's. Are you gonna tell me it's not convoluted?
No, it is.
Okay.
That was for something else.
Oh, okay. I understand it has its fans. I love the aesthetic. I love the idea of it. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
But that intro is so good that it cannot not be on my list.
If Kingdom Hearts being convoluted and the crossover being weird is your problem, then Kingdom Hearts 1 is definitely the one for you, you know?
Right.
Because that's before the edgy anime stuff starts.
Those are not my problems with the game. It's just like I didn't actually find it that fun to play.
That's fair.
Maybe you'll like 3.
I don't think so. I would probably like 2. I've played a little bit of 2. I played the beginning of 2, and I remember thinking when I went back to finally play 1, like, I'm so excited to play this. Like, I'm excited to get into Kingdom Hearts, and being like, I love everything about this game. Why do I hate playing it?
It's pretty clunky, but once you kind of figure out how to lean into the clunk, then it becomes very deliberate and it's like, oh, cool.
It feels a little too beat 'em up for me. And I'm also just not a huge fan of action RPGs.
That's fair.
And like the only exception I really have to that, and it's only a partial exception, is like Xenoblade Chronicles, and it's because it's such a weird action RPG. But anyway, I believe that puts us to number 3 at Isaac.
It sure does. And I don't think either of you have played this game, so I'm pretty proud of myself. And I'm not going to talk much about it, because you have to experience it. The opening scene to the forest is so good.
I think I've heard of the forest.
Yeah, I know of that game. I would not know what the intro is. Then yeah.
Can you explain a little bit?
It sets the tone for the entire game. It's very creepy.
Okay. Oh, is this the horror one you're talking to me about?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
I can respect not wanting to talk too much about that.
Just want you to experience.
Kendall, number 3.
Marvel vs. Capcom 3. It's so good.
Can't wait to hear it for the first time ever.
Yeah, there's actually 4 intros for this.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and there's some cool stuff in the other ones. The first one is easily the best. But there's one where it's Wesker has some virus from Resident Evil 5. And he's has it in a briefcase, and then the briefcase just rips itself open, and it floats over to Magneto, and it's oh god, no! And there's one where it's Chun-Li and Captain America, and Captain America just deflects a whole helicopter.
So it's like outrageous in like the best way, like a
Yeah,
perfect
but,
crossover where you're just like, this is messed up in the best way possible.
Yeah, and but like yeah, and that one also has Beautiful Joe writing Okami.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
It is because like those games are both from like the same are both from Hideki Kamiya. It's
Right.
like the same studio. It's like, oh, that's great.
I didn't know Amaterasu was in that game.
Yeah, she is, and
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's an
I
underrated game.
yeah, and
forgot that Beautiful Joe was a game.
Yeah.
it's a cool game. But the first one is the best, and it's just a Marvel character and a Capcom character fighting, and it has Wolverine versus Ryu, which sounds strange from like these characters don't seem to kind of go together, but it's the history of those characters, you know?
Yeah.
Like they're sort of the faces of Marvel versus Capcom, you know?
Yeah, that's fair.
Like Ryu is like the basic one of the Capcom side.
Mr.
and-
Street Fighter, indeed.
Yeah, and Wolverine
That's
is
his
like,
last name, right? Ryu
Yeah.
Street Fighter?
Yeah, exactly. And Wolverine is like the face of the Marvel side because their first one was a X-Men fighting game,
Okay.
and then it was Street Fighter versus X-Men, and then that evolved into Marvel versus Capcom.
Gotcha.
And then we also have Morrigan versus Tony Stark, which Morrigan is a succubus. So
Perfect.
yeah, and and like it's also just sort of got the thing of like they're both flying characters who use missiles and everything.
Right.
So like and then another really clever one is Dante versus Deadpool.
Oh my god.
It's perfect, and like there's just and like it just ends with a shot of them just point blank shooting each other over and over, and it does nothing. And then the most creative one that I was like, oh, that's genius. That's a genius matchup. Chris Redfield versus the Hulk.
Go on.
Well, because of like the whole thing with how Resident Evil sort of evolved into
Right.
like these big hulking monsters.
Yeah, Chris Redfield did kind of evolve into this like football player.
Yeah, and like Resident Evil 3, like they had Nemesis, and in Resident Evil 2 they had Mr. X, and Resident Evil 4 they had a bunch of big
Okay.
guys. Resident Evil 5 definitely was just fighting a bunch of really big, super strong guys. So
I got
fighting
you.
the Hulk is like, oh, that's perfect.
That makes sense.
That
I
is
got you.
Clever.
All right. My number 2 is debatably also my number 1. Like,
I feel that.
they are so strong, but oh man, I almost want to switch it right now.
Do it.
I'm gonna. The number 2 is like, so now my new number 2 is Super Smash Bros. Melee.
All right.
To me, this was like a near perfect introduction. You do bring up good points that like, yeah, it'd be nice to see more crossover, but you cannot say that intro did not set that tone 100% perfectly.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
Yoshis rushing through the field.
Yeah.
The fists coming together to, like with the Triforce. Like,
Yeah.
it has nods to characters you don't even know are in the game because you have to unlock them.
Yeah.
It's you see like Ness coming down into On It, like,
Yeah.
So awkward.
it's hello.
Continue.
It's just such a good intro. The music is fantastic. The visuals for a GameCube, like, now GameCube still holds up pretty well, but it just looks really nice. Like, it has its own style that holds up because of the way it looks.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Super Smash Bros. Melee is my now number 2. Isaac, your number 2
Super Smash Bros. Melee.
is your number 2?
Yeah.
Wow. All right, that's definitely going to be on our top 10 list.
So, my number 2 is also a thing I consider the best James Bond opening. And that is Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake
enough.
Eater.
You know what? You showed me that at one point. I get it.
Did I show you that?
Like a while ago, like
Yeah.
many a day ago.
Yeah. What a thrill.
Many a day.
I'm still in
yeah.
a dream. I'm Snake Eater.
That's honestly, what more can you say other than like the best James Bond theme?
Yeah.
All right, Steven, what's your number one?
What was my number two, but like I feel so strongly about it, like thinking about it. My only complaint is this one runs just a little long, but when you're watching it, like you don't care.
Yeah.
Rayman Origins.
Yeah.
It's so cartoony. It's so wacky. You see like the little like Eustace and Muriel skeletons like come up. They're not Eustace and Muriel, but that's what they remind me of.
Yeah.
Every sound effect, every sound that the characters are doing are making the music.
Yeah.
Which is just a quirk throughout the entire game.
Great.
It's so wacky. It's so fun. Like, I need this to end up on our top 10 list somewhere.
Oh, I can feel that.
Yeah, it might not be number one, and I'm okay with that, but it is my number one, and it's... I can't explain it without just showing it beyond what I have. It's so bright and colorful and, like, fun. Like, it sets the tone, because that game is just fun. Like, except for the treasure runs, which are fun, but frustrating.
Those were actually my favorite part.
They're the best part, but, like, we actually on the Boats Can Play /EntertainEX channel, we have, like, all the treasure runs. We were getting so tired and frustrated by the end.
Yeah. Though definitely, yeah, on our first run through, I recall on when we did it for the show, like, you know, let's just do these again.
Mm-hmm.
They were fun, and we breezed through them a lot easier.
The first couple, we were stuck on a few of them for, like, a long time. Isaac, number one.
Okay, I'm very, very passionate about this one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that you know this game.
There's a good chance of it.
So it's like Pokemon, but better, okay?
Okay.
It's called Magic Pendulum. It's for the PS2, and you draw your own little Pokemon, and you force them to fight each other like actual Pokemon.
I do know this game.
And the intro is so good. It's so good. It's really melancholy and calm. It's got a little dog chasing the little thing you draw. It sets a really good tone for this game that is way, way, way darker than you would think it would ever be.
Because, like, I actually remember you playing this game. I remember you making... Because you collect colors, don't you?
You do.
And body parts, too.
Yeah. You made some sort of dragon.
I did make a dragon.
Even the flame was, like, out the whole time because of the way you draw it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do remember that game. I don't know the intro, so I'm excited to look at it.
The intro's really good.
I bet.
That game is so dark. I don't know if either of you have ever played it, but I played it all the way through. I beat it, and it's really depressing.
Yeah, I think it was my game, actually.
No, I had one.
Huh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think actually the thing that the dog is chasing, doesn't it actually change depending on, like, so it's your creature?
Yeah, you draw it.
Yeah, I don't... Yeah, I'm not sure if that, like, actually changes in the opening.
It does.
Yeah.
If you draw a red circle, it's a little red circle. You draw a blue triangle, it's a blue triangle.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's creative. That's fun.
So
I'm glad you brought that up. Like, that's actually a game I think about every once in a while. Like, in the deep recesses of my mind.
I think about it all the time.
It's like this weird memory, like, was that real?
I'd buy a
Was Isaac's weird, colorful dragon with, like, the weird, like, colorful fire in front of him, was that real?
The unfortunate thing is the more colors you use, the stronger it is, so you have to make, like, a multicolored creature, or it'll be like, it sucks otherwise.
Yeah. It's no Cube, Defender of the Polyverse.
So my number one is the thing that was like, you know what? I'm going to make a whole list just to talk about this one.
Go on.
Okay, Mr. Sunshine. Da 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 da.
Oh my God! Yes!
Da 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 da. Da Katamari on the swing.
I am so upset this didn't end up on my list somewhere.
Yeah, particularly I chose We Love Katamari. I think it's a better intro than the first one.
I'm so upset with myself. Like, in the same way that you were upset you didn't come up with Sonic CD.
Yeah.
Like, I'm having that same, like, dilemma. Like, oh, I didn't even think about We Love Katamari.
Yeah,
It's so expensive.
Katamari Damacy is, the song is absolutely iconic. We Love Katamari. It just ups the scale, which is also perfect for the game because the plot of We Love Katamari is that Katamari Damacy was a really good game. Everyone loved that game. Let's make a sequel.
Yeah, I remember we bought it so we could play it for the channel.
Yeah.
But we didn't have a PS2 memory, or we didn't have a real PS2 memory card. We had a bootleg, like a.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's really picky about the memory card.
Yeah. Oh man, I am so mad I didn't come up with that one.
But yeah, it's such a joyous opening. If you're ever having a bad day, just look at that opening. It's like, man, that's great.
Just again, it's one of those things that in the deep recesses of my mind, every once in a while, it's just.
That Wheel of Katamari's soundtrack is also absolutely fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's they do have the song from the first game, except that it's just one dude singing it really poorly, and he's also getting chewed out by his boss during it. And there's also a medley of all of the songs from the first game, except it's all in animal sounds.
All right.
Huh.
It's really weird.
You did show me that one.
Bark, bark. Bark, 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 bark.
So yeah, that does it for our announcements of what our top 10s are. We are going to deliberate, watch some of these intros, probably a decent chunk of them, and we're gonna come back and debate a top 10.
Yeah.
So we'll be back shortly.
Yep.